They sold the house I saved and erased me from the party. I pulled up the driveway and told myself, this time, maybe it'll be different. The house looked smaller than I remembered. Or maybe it was me, older, tired, a little too practiced in setting my expectations just low enough not to get hurt. 3 hours on the road, 1 stop for coffee, and 11 years of quiet contributions folded neatly into the passenger seat beside me, tied with a green ribbon and good intentions. It was the farewell party, the final gathering before my parents sold the house. The one with the peeling shutters, the cracked porch swing, the attic I once paid $7,000 to fix when the roof gave up during storm season. They were finally letting it go, and I was trying not to feel anything about it. Inside, things were already in full swing. Red and white checked tablecloths, half a dozen casseroles lined up on the kitchen counter, the scent of cinnamon rolls and something vaguely lemony floating through the hall. Aunt Beth was showing off her newest diet. Uncle Robert had already spilled wine on the carpet. Someone had queued up a playlist of old songs from my parents' wedding, and it crackled faintly over a Bluetooth speaker that never quite hit the right volume. And everywhere, photos. Blown up, framed, strung along with twine and clothespins. The backyard barbecue from '98. My brother Matt's graduation. A blurry snapshot of my mom holding a pie. It all felt curated. Warm, even. Like something I'd want to believe in. I didn't expect applause. Just acknowledgement. A nod. A smile. Maybe a hey, you made it. 11 years of wiring money for the mortgage. Paying the plumbing bill no one wanted to talk about. Picking up the pieces quietly from a distance. I wasn't here to be celebrated. Just seen. I stepped into the living room, holding the only thing I'd brought with me. An old photo album I'd spent 3 weekends restoring. Leather-bound, delicate, and full of things I thought they might have forgotten. Grandpa's 70th birthday. My mom in her first teaching uniform. Matt with a missing front tooth, holding my hand on the front steps. I placed it gently on the coffee table. Took a breath. And told myself again, maybe this time it'll be different. It happened about an hour in. People were already on their second plate of casserole. Someone had brought out sparkling cider for a toast. The slideshow projector was humming softly in the corner, waiting to start. That's when Mom stood up, gently tapped her glass with a spoon, and said, if I could have everyone's attention. The room quieted. Not out of respect, necessarily, more like that instinct we all have when a parent clears their throat in public. She held a note card. I could see her hands tremble slightly. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. We're all here today, she began, to say goodbye to the home that has held so many memories, seen so many seasons. And we wouldn't have made it here without one person who kept it all together. She paused, looked around the room, then smiled in one direction. Matt. There was a beat of silence. Then applause. Someone let out a cheerful whoop. I heard a whistle. Forks clinked on plates. Mom turned fully to my brother, who looked like he wanted to crawl into the carpet from embarrassment and maybe just a little pride. Matt was always the one who showed up. Fixed the gutters. Painted the porch. Took Dad to the doctor when I couldn't drive. He's been the glue holding this house together for years. And I just sat there, holding my glass, smiling politely, like I wasn't the one who paid for that porch to be rebuilt. Like I didn't transfer $7,200 for the new HVAC system Matt helped install. Like I hadn't spent an entire weekend negotiating with the insurance company to cover the leak damage Mom forgot to report on time. I was sitting 10 feet away. I could smell the pie on the table. And still, I was erased. Then the slideshow began. A nostalgic trip down memory lane, as Uncle Ben called it. Photos flickered across the wall, years condensed into snapshots. The family camping trip in '05. Dad's retirement dinner. Matt at prom. Matt with the dog. Matt grilling burgers. Matt and Mom standing in front of a house in every season.
No me.
Not one photo. Not the birthday I flew in for, not the Thanksgiving I worked overtime to afford, not the hospital visit when Mom had her gallbladder surgery and I paid for the private room so she could recover in peace. Not even the photo I knew existed, of me, kneeling on the roof with a contractor, reviewing plans with a clipboard in hand.
Gone.
Mom laughed at one photo, turned to the crowd. Helena was always busy, she said, like it was a joke. But Matt, he always made time. And they all nodded, like it made perfect sense. Like it was a fact they had all agreed on, silently, while I wasn't looking. I didn't argue, didn't raise my hand and say, "Excuse me, do you know who paid for the new foundation?" I just poured another inch of wine,
Took a small bite of pie.
chewed slowly, swallowed carefully, and then, somewhere between the fifth Matt photo and the forced laughter about the broken lawnmower, I stood up. Quietly. No annoncement. No slammed glass or dramatic walkout. I just picked up my bag, smoothed my skirt, and walked out the front door. I heard the laughter echo behind me as I pulled the door shut. The sound of plates clinking, of another memory being made without me. And all I could think was, I'm not angry, not even surprised. Just done pretending I don't see what's always been true. The first call came in at 6:08 a.m. I remember the time because I was still awake, not tossing and turning, not lost in thought. I was just sitting there, staring into a cup of tea that had gone cold, and feeling strangely light. The first call was from my mother, then two from Matt, one from Dad, then Mom again, then Matt, then Mom again. Not a single voicemail, not a single apology, just a list of people who had nothing to say when I walked out, now frantically trying to pretend I hadn't. I counted 27 missed calls, 6 texts. The first one from Mom read, "Where did you go?" Then, "I didn't mean anything by it, honey. If you felt hurt, I'm sorry. Not I was wrong. Just if you felt that way." The kind of apology people give when they don't believe they did anything wrong, only that you're being overly sensitive. I didn't respond right away. I waited until the afternoon, when the calls had stopped, when the screen finally went quiet like the eye of a storm. Then I sent exactly one message. "It's okay. You've said enough." No reply.
No typing that's.
No, can we talk? Just silence. And the strange part? The part that should have hurt? It didn't. I didn't feel disappointed. I didn't feel rejected. I just made breakfast. A week later, Matt called. I let it ring 3 times before answering. I didn't say hello. I just waited. "Mom's feeling awkward," he said, like he was talking about a cancel meeting. "She didn't think things would blow up like this. Can you come back? Help her explain it." I looked out the window. Cloudy sky. Leaves scattered across the steps. Rain was probably coming. And all I could think was, isn't it funny? I've spent my whole life explaining things to them. And now they can't even ask themselves why I've gone quiet. "I'm not angry," I said. "I just don't feel like I belong there anymore."
Matt didn't know what to say.
And I didn't wait for him to figure it out. I hung up. That evening, I sat down with my laptop. Opened the spreadsheet of monthly payments. So familiar, I could recite them backwards. Electric, water,
Gas.
internet, insurance, supplemental credit card, emergency fund. I started canceling, one by one. Not in rage, not in revenge, just clarity. The kind that finally arrives when you've been quiet long enough to hear yourself think. Electricity auto payment, canceled. Matt's gas card, removed. Family internet plan, my name on the contract, terminated. Home insurance, under my credit,
Gone.
emergency account, permanently closed. No warning, no note, no passive-aggressive, just FYI, since I apparently never helped. I didn't tell anyone. No one asked, but I knew, and that was enough. The house didn't sell. That was the subject line of the email. All lowercase.
No puntuación.
Sent at 9:42 p.m. on a Wednesday. I almost deleted it on reflex.
Then I saw who it was from. Matt.
And I knew, before I even opened it, that something had finally cracked. I clicked. "Inspection issues," he wrote. Buyer backed out. Lender says they need documentation of all major repairs from the last 5 years. Anyone have that? Especially roof or HVAC. I let the email sit there. Didn't reply. Didn't forward anything. Just stared at it for a while, like it might transform into an apology if I looked long enough.
It didn't.
But I knew what was happening. They'd reached the edge of their knowledge, the end of their records. And now, suddenly, the one person they'd edited out of the slideshow was the only person who could help them move forward.
Me.
By Friday, the text started. First came Mom.
Short.
Stiff.
No emojis.
Which told me this wasn't casual. Do you happen to have copies of the invoices from the roof work?
No greeting.
No softening language.
Just that.
Like I was the file cabinet she forgot to label. I stared at the message. Thought about not responding. But part of me wanted to see what she'd do with the truth. So I opened the folder on my desktop. House_docs_2012_2022. I scrolled through a decade of digital receipts. Plumbing. Electrical. HVAC. Roof. Foundation reinforcement. All in my name. All paid from my account. I found the one they needed. Robinson_house repairs_final. PDF. $14,300 total. Roof restructure, new circuit panel, full HVAC replacement. Paid via Visa ending in 3821.
Signature.
Robinson. I sent it. No message attached. Just the file. I knew they'd see
it.
And I knew they'd recognize the name, the card, the total, everything they had conveniently forgotten to mention when they raised a toast to the one who held the house together. The next day, Dad texted. First message in over a year. Your mom was out of line.
She knows that.
But this is still our family home. That means something, right? I didn't answer. Because I knew what he meant. Family only means something when it's useful. When it's convenient. When it's holding something up. They didn't call me when they listed the house. Didn't include me in the photos, the speeches, the planning. They only reached out when the cracks in the foundation, literal and emotional, started showing. And they realized they didn't have the paperwork to sell the very thing I'd helped keep afloat. It was never about belonging. It was about function. They remembered me. Only when forgetting me stopped being convenient. More texts came after that. From Matt. From Mom again. Vague questions disguised as small talk. Hey, do you happen to remember who did the chimney work in 2018? We're missing the invoice for the water heater. You wouldn't happen to have that, would you? I read each one.
Didn't respond.
Let them wonder. Let them scroll through old emails and group chats. Let them sit with the discomfort of not knowing, of needing something they can't retrieve because they never valued the one who gave it.
I was visible again.
But I didn't owe them clarity. Not anymore. They didn't call. They didn't text. They just showed up. It was Sunday, right before dusk, that in-between time where everything turns soft and gold, when even hard things almost look gentle. I saw them through the window before they knocked. 3 silhouettes standing at the bottom of my porch steps, stiff and quiet.
Mom.
Dad.
Matt.
They looked small from where I stood. Not just physically, though they did seem to shrink out there, but emotionally, like people who just realized they no longer had a key. I opened the door, but I didn't step outside. Just leaned against the frame and waited. Mom was wearing her "I'm just a tired mother" sweater, the thin beige one with the unraveling sleeves. Dad looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Matt was holding something, a grocery bag, maybe? I didn't care enough to look. Can we come in? Mom asked, voice cautious, like she already expected the answer. No, I said. But you can say what you came to say. They exchanged glances, the kind that scream we didn't rehearse this enough. We just want to clear the air, Mom began. We figured that much, I replied. Dad stepped forward half a step, arms crossed, eyes not quite meeting mine. It all just happened fast, he said. We didn't mean to forget you. That word again. Forget. I tilted my head. You didn't forget me, I said. You made a decision. There's a difference. Mom's mouth opened, closed, then opened again. She finally landed on, are you upset because of the money? That made me laugh. Not because it was funny. Because it was so far from the point, it was almost poetic. No, I said. I'm not angry because of the money. I'm angry because while I was still paying the mortgage, still covering the insurance, still sending you money for groceries, you stood up in front of 50 people and told them I'd never lifted a finger. I stepped forward now, onto the porch. Not to get closer, just to stop holding back. I paid $11,200 to fix the roof. $5,800 for your hospital bills. $3,200 in insurance premiums. $17,000 to cover back taxes, so the house wouldn't go into foreclosure. I looked at Mom. You knew that. You cashed the checks. You sent me the bills. You asked for help. And I never said no. She looked down. Not out of guilt, not yet. More like someone trying to find the words that might undo what had already been done. Matt finally spoke. I didn't know she was going to say that about you. I turned to him. But you didn't correct her.
You didn't look surprised.
You didn't say anything. You just let it land, let them believe it, because you liked how it felt. His face twitched. A flicker of guilt. That little flinch you make when someone hits a nerve dead on. You liked being the favorite for once, I said. And you liked it enough to stand on a lie. Silence stretched out between us. Mom shifted, reaching for that old tone, the one laced with apology and nostalgia. We want to fix this, she said. We love you. I nodded. Just once. Then maybe, I said. You should have thought about that before rewriting the past in a speech and framing it like the truth. They didn't reply. They didn't cry. And for once, I didn't fill the space for them. I took one step back, rested my hand on the edge of the door,
and said,
if you came here to ask for help with the house, I'm not that daughter anymore. And then I closed the door.
No islam.
No drama. Just a clean, final click. Quiet can be the loudest sound in the world when it comes after years of being unheard.
They sold the house in the end.
Later than expected. For less than they'd hoped. The realtor called it a home with potential, but his tone shifted when the bank asked for records of recent repairs. There were none.
No receipts. No roof replacement. No rewiring. No back servicing.
All of it had been paid for. But for my account, in my name. My mother texted me a single line. Do you happen to have any of the paperwork? I sent back one PDF. No message. No smiley face. Just this. Robinson, payment, $14,300, roof plus electrical plus HVAC. Nothing else.
They sold it quickly after that. Dropped the price.
Took what they could. Not because they were ready for a new chapter, but because they could no longer afford to pretend this one was still being written. I heard about the move from a former neighbor who said a moving truck pulled out of 17 Rose Hill Lane just after dusk, carrying boxes of memories no one had the strength to carry anymore. Mom moved in with Aunt Margaret, the same woman who once said, I'd rather die alone than share a kitchen after 60. Apparently, preferences change when options run out. Matt rented a 2-bedroom condo near the city. First place where the electric bill would be in his own name. I assume by now he knows how many surprise fees show up each month, the ones that used to disappear without anyone asking why. As for me, I never went back. Didn't drive by for a final look. Didn't check if the porch light was still on. Didn't ask whether they remembered to take the restored photo album I left on the table. I didn't need to know. I wasn't angry. Anger, like money, is something you spend, and I wasn't giving them another cent.
No fury. No hatred.
Not even sorrow. Just relief. That quiet kind. The one that doesn't cheer or triumph. Just exhales slowly after carrying something too heavy for too long. The rest of my life unfolded gently. No more midnight calls. No texts asking for a little advance. No trading vacation time for overtime, so someone else could go on a cruise. Every now and then, I scroll through the old folders on my hard drive. Photos of the collapsed roof. Invoices. Texts from my mother asking if I could send it early this time. I don't delete them. Not because I haven't let go, but because I need to remember. I was there. I kept the house standing. And I was erased from under its roof. Family doesn't end with love. It ends with the decision to forget who paid the price. I paid for the roof above their heads and got erased beneath it. If this story made you pause, if you've ever been the one who held everything together and got forgotten, hit that like button to let Helena know she's not alone. Leave a comment. What part of her story hit home for you? Subscribe for more true, layered, and emotionally honest stories like this one. And if you know someone who's ever paid the price just to be erased, share this video with them. Because sometimes what we need most isn't applause. It's simply to be seen.